Dice, yeah, ay, ay.
Good day and welcome. What if the thing people judge most about you is actually the thing that helped you understand power, safety, and desire? Today I'm talking with Mistress Malisandre, author, artist, dominatrix, and educator on power dynamics, who turned a church-shaped childhood, buried rage, and a long journey with control into a deeply intentional practice around consent, vulnerability, and helping people feel seen in their truth. We get into how power can become safety, why her clients often seek release more than sensation, and what it means to reclaim authority over your own story. Let's continue to keep one another powerful. This is the FYI I Am Damaged podcast. Now, a word from our sponsor. Guys, I wrote a wonderful children's book called Logan, the Strong-Minded Little Elephant. I also created a wonderful children's song added to the end of this podcast inspired by the book. Check it out and have a fun time singing and dancing with your kids or all by yourself. Meet Logan, the strong-minded little elephant who learns that bravery isn't about being fearless. It's about believing in yourself even when you're scared. In this beautifully illustrated story, friends follow Logan through a colorful jungle as he learns to calm his worries, take deep breaths, and remind himself, I am strong, I am safe, I can do this. It's a story that helps kids, and maybe a few grown-ups too, find courage, mindfulness, and strengthen their hearts. Logan, the strong-minded little elephant by me, Oscar Luna. Available now at all major retailers and my publisher's bookstore, Milton and Hugo. Because it's up to every parent to show that their child deserves to know that strength starts from within. Thank you for joining me on another episode of FYI I Am Damaged. I'm joined by author, artist, and educator on power dynamics, Mistress Malisandre. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I'll get right into the first question and then we can just do our thing. With all your titles and agency over your own life, do you give yourself permission to let people know and explore who you are and what you do? And if so, what do you tell them?
So that is such a great question. And I
Thank you.
got to tell you, I think that people assume because, uh, a dominatrix, they have a vision of a dominatrix as somebody who is, impervious and is not very open, right? They're strict, they're high protocol, they're all of this, but that's a side of myself that I don't show to everyone, right? Only those that are privileged to be in that space with me. So if anything, I actually think that that makes me more vulnerable, that I'm willing to share that piece of myself with people. There's a lot of people that have that piece within them that they're not willing to share, right? So to me, I'm pretty open about sharing that piece of myself. And not many people are. There are people who still are, dominatrices and they do not like show their faces. I do show my face online. Yeah, this is audio only because I'm not very technically set up for it at the moment, but it's
No, that's all good. I mean, are you very guarded to a point with how you get into what you do and when you start sees people when you see people's eyes perk up when you mention what you do you switch gears on how you speak with them? Is it per
like
person or
code switch
yeah.
almost. And you know what? That's a great question. And I think that it's a time and place, right? If we are in a space that is like just two people talking like this, like now, we're just colleagues on the same hurdle and rock. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I will approach you at like a person. If we're in a space that is, charged with, power energy, like kink energy. We're in a dungeon. This is, a space in which it has been, you know, negotiated that I am the lead, you are the follower, then that will be how I approach you. It is kind of, I like to say that the dominatrix Malisandre is something I tap into. She's who I am. She's just dialed up to an 11.
Okay. And I saw the dial up come in at the end of your at the end of your answer. Now that's awesome. That's awesome. So before this work had language and structure around it, what were some of the early messages you absorbed about power, desire, and being a woman?
So, some of the earlier messages that I had about being a woman and power and desire was that it was frowned upon. I grew up in the church, and you're going to find that that is a pretty common theme among people who are into more, let's call it high protocol BDSM, which is what I delve into. Uh, it is so desire was something that was taboo, just period. You didn't talk about it. You didn't think about it. Very waspy. The energy is very waspy.
Mm,
Women are quiet. Women, to be good women, are obedient. They are demure. They are, their power is silent. Their power is not loud.
mm,
And for me, that feeling, I felt very wrong for a very long time, even as a child. I felt this bubbling like rage inside of me all the time. That was wrong. I felt that that was wrong because I had been taught that was wrong. So by the time that that stuff came to the surface, it was, you know, not handled in the healthiest of ways. It was lashing
so
out. It
how
was,
how would you lash out?
I would lash out. A story that I tell in my book is one of somebody had made fun of my kid sister, and I could take it and take it and take it for me, but for some reason, just seeing her little face, I mean, in that moment, I transformed into an absolute dragon, and I did it right in the church parking lot. I'd never seen anything like it. I'm sitting there screaming at this boy in my polished black shoes, just, I mean, using every four-letter word that I've ever learned at the ripe age of 10, you know, just letting him have
Mm,
it, and I felt good about it. I felt good. I didn't feel ashamed. I felt good, and then it clocked in, "Oh, no, I shouldn't feel this way. Shove it back down. Shove it in. Shove it down." So,
mm,
it came out as anger, loss of control. Um, it almost like a snake coiled and strike, right? It's usually done out of fear, right? It's a defense
mhm.
mechanism. It's not to be malicious. It's to defend. It's to, you know, it's out of fear. And that's what would happen. I would strike out of fear for sure.
So it was how do you intertwine the fear with defending your sister from, not feeling that, or were you connected to her fear and acted as defense for her?
I was an avenging angel. The
Mm,
fear I had is that she would feel as shitty as I did. My whole existence for a very long time was to make sure that she never felt the things that I felt, the feelings that I had, the feelings of not being enough, not be just being wrong, having the thoughts and the feelings that I had were wrong, right? And so my fear, I struck out of fear because I didn't want her to feel that she was in any way wrong, in any way.
mm.
She was exactly how she was supposed to be, damn it, you know? And so I came down like an avenging angel, pure fire, Something definitely was unleashed that day.
Now, I'm sure from that being at 10 years old and moving slightly a little bit forward in age and looking back, can you trace from your life the moment you realized I need to renegotiate my relationship with power and identity from the inside out?
Yeah. So for me, power meant control. Power equaled control. Power, that was the goal, let's say. Because before that, power was unbridled, power was messy, power was unpredictable, and that did not make me feel safe. So let's find a way to turn control into our power, right? Um, and I found that at about 19. Um, 19 is actually when I entered the BDSM lifestyle. And I actually started as a submissive to an older man in a house, and I was a service sub. And those dynamics that were being taught there were very high protocol. They were control. And that control, those expectations that I was living under, took away the noise, the kind of the static that charged the air around the idea of power for me. And instead wrapped it in a nice silk little, black bow and said, power is control. Power is not scary. Right now, you have negotiated with this person to give him the lead and the control so that you don't have to feel that you can feel safety around power and not feel uncontrolled and not feel adrift, feel anchored.
Right. So now that's where we're getting to you being that side of the coin and now the other side of the coin in a sense. When you began working professionally with power dynamics, what surprised you most about what people were seeking?
So I think the top thing that people seek from a dom or in a power dynamic or in a professional, like a dungeon setting or something like that, you have all types of different clients. But the thing that people are searching for most often is acceptance, which is, I'm sure it's not the sexy answer, but it's the right answer. They're looking for someone to see them. They're looking for someone to say, here's this really insanely human thing, this absolutely just unbelievable, not socially accepted thing. I see it. I see that you love it. And you know what? I love it too. I want to see more of that. So people are they're coming to providers like me. They're coming to DOMs, they're coming to escorts, things like that. They want somebody to see them in their truth and to be okay with that and say, in fact, I celebrate that about you. This little piece, this human piece that you are showing me right now, I love it. Thank you for showing me that human piece of you.
And so I would hazard to guess like there's a huge trust in the vulnerability of this
Without you.
because I'm sure that they're an onion layer of shells of, maybe high powered individuals or just strong individuals. And to come to someone for that is they want to shed that and be finally vulnerable. And this is a space that they feel comfortable in. I mean, I could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, and that would be, I mean, that's very well said. And the people that my clients are, where I'm located is near a city. There's full of very high powered people, government, military, etc. So my clientele is very let's call them very, very,
In
societally
charge?
accepted, yeah, male coded, very,
Mm.
very ego coded. So when they come to me, they are looking to be released from that. They are looking to be taken out of that leadership role. They are looking to feel held in a way that is confining, but in a way that also releases them. So, and that is done through, many different ways. It's psychological, it can be physical. It's really, just and that's where you get into the kink part of it, where, BDSM is BDSM. It is not necessarily kink, but it can be. Does that make sense?
No, it does, because with anything, there's all different type of
Right.
levels,
Right,
you
exactly,
know? And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to speak with you, because everyone has an fucking opinion, but it's like everyone has one. So it's like to shine light on this and do it in such a professional way, do it in such a way that, and I'm loving how you're describing this, and it's not like you're giving this such a mystical sort of deal, but it's like, no, this is what I deal with. I deal with it. I deal with power. I deal with this power dynamic, how you say, and I deal with very powerful people. And releasing that it can be a relief on its own. There, I've seen powerful women who are like, I want to take a break. I don't want to lead as much. I've had that issue with my wife, and he's like, oh, I have a great job, this and that and everything. But it's like, how about you do that for a minute? Let me
Yeah,
take a break. I'm
yep,
like, okay,
yep.
you know.
And that's one of the things that I do. People think all of it, they think, dominatrix, they think that I'm dealing with just a certain type of individual, and that's not true. I actually deal with couples all the time. That's my bread and butter. Some of my bread and butter is teaching couples how to exchange power in a way that is, 1, safe, and is 2, serves them in the best way. I I have, um, you know, I have a degree in, sex therapy, and sure, I work with couples. It's one of the bread and butter of, my living. I teach couples how to bring power dynamics in a way that is safe, especially if they're looking to actually, like, bring physical BDSM into the relationship, but not necessarily. It also shows them how to switch roles, how to switch, you know, the dynamics in their relationships to best serve them. I have certificates and, degrees. One is in sex therapy. And so, I provide, like, what I provide is therapeutic.
And that actually goes into my next question, because with the individuals and the couples, like, what do you request and clarify to them prior to beginning to ease them into your world?
So a lot of the times, so back in the day when I was doing more like dungeon session work, that looks a little different than the work I do now. Session work looks more like these are experienced subs who are looking for a experienced dominatrix. To what the thing that I like to ask is, what is the feeling you're hoping to accomplish in a session, or in, as we like to say, a scene? What are you looking to accomplish? And most of the time people want release, freedom, and oftentimes it's freedom from shame, freedom from responsibility. I'm looking for a break. I'm looking to feel something, anything. And so what I do is I typically have a conversation with them. That's part of the whole thing. People don't, it's not like a Best Buy. They don't walk in and they and and check out, hey, okay, well, I think I want to do a little of this, a little of that, a little of this.
Mm.
That's not how scenes are created. in my world. There are providers that do that, and those are actually considered fetish escorts. And that is something different. They are related and they are a wonderful service. And, we need them in our industry. They're healers in their own right, but that's not what I do. So, I then take that and in my conversation, I tease apart. Okay, you want to feel free. Free from what? I want to feel free from, my responsibilities at work. What are your responsibilities at work? And they list them out for me. I'm in charge of this many people. I, feel like I can't ever sit still. And to me, that says they need to feel held. They need to feel that they are trapped almost and then let go. So it's me kind of I've been given I've been given the gift of communication and of hearing in between the words that people are saying what they feel and being able to gift them understanding and holding space for them. So when couples are coming to me, when individuals are coming to me, the first thing I want to know is, what do you want to feel? And then I create a scene, I create a workshop, I create a schedule around it.
And when all is said and done, do you have that ability to read their face to know that it was successful, or you're like, okay, now this one's a kind of tough nut to crack, and you just like kind of continue to explore? Or do they come out and say, hey, look, this is what I'm kind of missing? So it's there an exploratory portion of it, or everything's just laid bare?
So, and that really comes back to negotiation and trust. So oftentimes, it's not going to be a one and done session. Very rarely do I have I had like one and done clients. You know, I have repeat clients, I have repeat experiences with people because I have earned their trust and they've earned mine. And part of earning my trust is being able to communicate with me. So after a scene or after a session, we have what's called aftercare. And aftercare looks like kind of doing a postmortem. In this moment, I noticed your face doing this. What were you feeling there? Or, you used your safe word here. Can you tell me why? And I keep clinical notes. I keep clinical notes on my clients.
No, that's very interesting because again, I don't take the sensationalistic view of what you do as maybe the general public. So it's interesting because that shows a level of care regardless of what's going on, to understand that, you know what, they're coming to me for something. And then, like, I've never heard of, do most people in your position do that? Or was that something that you catered to your clients because
So
you
I'll
felt that, hey, I want to give this to you?
so there are for as many different people as there are on the planet, there are that many different types of DOMs, right? But I will say that all in all, people who are I'm gonna say there's old school BDSM and then there's what I call the new school. Old school BDSM, those are people who've been in it longer than the internet, let's say, before you could just Google it. We learned BDSM through being initiated by another person. You couldn't just put on pleather and get on OnlyFans and call yourself a dom. That didn't happen. So more new school looks a little different. The people that I currently train and the people that I've trained with, my contemporaries, I can honestly say that these women are just like me. They're doing this, they have a greater purpose in doing it. They're doing it for the healing themselves, healing others, and part of, risk aware kink is communication. It is aftercare, negotiation. And that's part of why I try and educate, because there's a lot of misinformation out there now. You come across a dom that says, I don't use safe words. Run, run.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
an abuser. That is somebody who's
Yeah, they're
using
working
a
out
position.
yeah, they're working out traumas of their own on
Yes,
somebody
yes.
else. Wow. Now, I'd be interested to know because holding power for others can be intense. How do you take care of your own nervous system and boundaries so you're not carrying everyone else's projections home?
Oh, yeah. Yep. And I'll tell you, so I'm a ritual person. Everything has a level of ritual to it. When I am coming into my mistress self, is what I call her, I have a ritual for doing that. When I'm coming out, I have a ritual for that. I have, it's almost a religious experience for me. So
Now, is that
I've
something
removed,
you keep that close to the vest, or
oh no,
can
I can
you
talk about it. Sure.
absolutely. Since
Sure.
a
Yeah.
lot of
So,
people who kind of do that within their own processes, I think that their sort of startup and decompression of what they do, that's important. And even if you're doing this when you're interacting with other individuals, I would love to have be, all I'm all ears because I'm
absolutely.
very interested to how would someone in your profession get yourself ready and then get yourself ready to go home.
So, and everybody's different, right? But my process looks like meditation. I start with meditation. The way that I meditate is by self-tying. So I use bondage ropes, and I'm tying myself in a position, in a cross-legged position to hold myself still. So I'm I'm starting off by doming myself, you see?
Mhm.
So I'm bringing myself into a space of just openness. I'm opening myself up to an experience. I'm opening myself up to providing space to somebody who needs my help in a way that they they feel there's not, typically by the time they're seeing me, they don't think there's another way.
Hmm.
They don't think there's another way. So, it looks like meditation. I have certain candle that I light when I'm doing my makeup and my hair. I have what is called, when there's pictures of me, all the pictures of me that are online, that's my mistress self. When I'm alone in my house, I look like Adam Sandler, I promise. And so I light my candle and I'm turning myself into Malisandre. So I'm painting my face and I'm rolling my hair and I'm slowly shedding the skin of mom, right? Of wife, of daughter, and what is left is my mistress self. And then I'm ready. So then at the end of a session, there's a ritual that's very similar to that. And it's me removing energy. And I do that by, taking my hair down, removing my makeup. I get in the shower. I will bathe. And it's all ritual, right? And then again, I'll meditate. That meditation looks like closing a book, right? So I was opening myself and now I'm closing the book. And I journal, journal, journal. People who do not journal need to journal. Journal, journal.
I agree. I agree. I up my journal game, and it makes a difference. Is,
It really does.
decompression within itself. Mm.
Absolutely.
Now, you've mentioned that you're a mother, so you're a mother and a creative entrepreneur. How has moving through all of these worlds reshaped your understanding of womanhood and leadership?
So for me, I think that what I do, and I'm just a woman who has remembered the power that I already had. And so I walk through the world trying to help women not find their power. They already have it. I'm helping them remember that it's theirs. They have the ability to create life within them. They have the ability to nurture another body within their own. And yet they've been told that the very thing that makes that possible makes them weak. And, that is a societal flaw. So, in becoming a mother and in doing this work, all it's done is pretty much just the message that I already had for myself. It just makes me stand 10 toes down firmer in that, in that I truly believe that, you know, women need to remember power, not find it again. It was never gone.
What helps you reinforce that within the women you come across when they have a skewed vision of power and they want to just release that when, yes, it's a little bit healthy to have your power? Do you think they kind of overcompensate, which is why they seek you out?
Yeah, I do. And that is not a that's not a dig because that is a human thing. So what I really am trying to do is for those who are overcompensating, or doing I call it performative power. So you have those that are walking around meek, not remembering power, and then you have those that are walking around with what I call performative power. I want them to find a healthy middle because to me, women when they stand in their power, what they're doing is they're allowing their humanity and their divine touch. And that's what I want for everyone.
So
I
kind
want
of
everyone to allow their divinity and their humanity to touch and coexist together. You don't have to be a love and light girly or a feminist. You can be both. They can touch. It's okay.
so you feel like you're tempering their sword so when they're done and they go out into the world, they're just not swinging it, chopping off people's heads, but they're more surgical with it. I mean,
They
have you
feel more
s
integrated. They're
okay.
feeling more integrated. Their power is shining from within, not something to be applied. There's a difference when power is shining through a person versus when power is being laid upon them like a mantle. So what I'm doing is polishing the surface so that it shines through versus applying power to somebody in a performative nature.
And you kinda see the difference in that with from those that are younger to those that are older and who've been through something, who have seen things, who have self-processed. And if you self-process and you're aware of your successes, your mistakes, your gray areas as well, and to have someone, I would say, as a guide like you through these power dynamics, and I'm sure you probably get tons of, I don't know, like stories, or do they share with you to say, hey, look, this has helped me through X, Y, and Z? Or, I mean, can you share some without, of course,
Sure.
violating their trust? But, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I have clients, I have subs. One that is a particularly powerful story. Uh, a war veteran who uses bondage as a form of therapy for PTSD. So, in session with this soldier, it looks like it's not, it's allowing them to lay down that stiff upper lip they're expected to keep and making them be still so that they can feel what they need to feel. And they cry and they rage and they scream, and I hear them and I hold them through it, right? And then they're quiet and they're still. And then I slowly unwrap them and they are being set free and let go. And oftentimes it ends in tears from both of us, really. I end up crying with the ones like that too.
Now, when these older, powerful individuals, leaders in their own right, whether it's societal, companies, whatever, and they walk into a room and they see you. I don't even know how the initiation is, but when they are aware of you and they see you and they see this young face, is it your demeanor that tells them, okay, let me see what she can do? Let me see what she can do for me. Or how is that brought about to let them know and say, hey, you know, in a sense, lack of a better word, tell them, hey, look, I got you. And I'm going to walk you through safely. And, we're going to do this. Because individuals like that rarely tend to trust.
Right. By the time that they've made it into that room with me, we've built rapport. I'm somebody who's always been able to step into a room and control the energy. So by the time that they've made it into that room with me, we've already had a discussion about my expectation. And they trust in me. And I trust that they are going to adhere to my expectations. And that's usually when things like high protocol come into play. And that's high protocol just means instructions given and instructions followed, boundaries set, etc. They come in, they see me, they immediately kneel because I said so. Right? They look at the floor until I tell them to look up. Things like that. So once we've had that discussion, we've had those discussions and those negotiations before we've entered that space. And typically very, my dom style is not loud and masochistic or sadistic. It's one of, it's quiet. It is quiet. I'm not afraid of a silence. A silence is probably one of the most powerful tools that I have. When you look directly into a man's face and say something akin to, Do you enjoy making women feel uncomfortable?
And a woman is saying that to them that will never feel uncomfortable with them even opening their mouth. Now that's a power
So
move.
absolutely. And not everybody has that naturally, right? And so one of the things that I do is when I'm training, I'm bringing up the next crop of doms. I'm training the next round, and that's one of the things that I teach. Is I teach them how to tap into that part of themselves. And heck, I've taught women how to use it in business meetings. I mean, it's true. You don't have to be louder, you know,
No, but nobody believes the loudest person in the room.
ever.
Not at
Not
all.
in my experience.
Now, when you think about the next chapter of your work, whether it's writing, art, Substack, mentoring, what conversations about power, consent, and becoming do you most want to see in the mainstream?
To see the conversation around personal power equaling, you know, allowing, as I mentioned before, allowing the divine part of you and the human part of you to touch and coexist. I am inundated with goddess, goddess, hello, goddess. Can I serve you, goddess? Can I lick your feet, goddess? My power stands in the two touching. I'm not a div I stand fully in my power because I am both, right? And I want that message to move forward. I want other women to understand that they don't have to be one or the other. You don't have to be a Madonna, or a whore. You're both. It's okay to be both. I'm both. It's, to understand that that's what makes them whole. That's what makes them powerful, is their ability to be all these things at once: mother, lover, wife, leader, follower, goddess, human.
I just think I felt the women listening to this kind of stand up a little bit straighter and like, hmm, I think she's onto something.
That's my hope. That's truly my hope, because I see it when I look at women, and I want them to see it in the mirror.
Now, before we go, is there anything else you would like to impart? Any other wisdoms or stories or just something that we either may not have touched on?
One thing I will add on is right now in our world, because of the access, the internet and everything, and all the different sites and the that you can hop on, and anybody can
Mhm.
say that they're, you know, dom or a sub or a, whatever. Make sure that you're educating yourself before you're entering into these types of power dynamics, because if they're not done correctly, if they're not done with intention, and they're not done with integrity, they can be very damaging, very damaging. So, first things first, trust above all else. That little voice in your gut is there on purpose. If they look great on paper and your gut still says don't, do it. Please don't do it. Please don't
Mm.
do it. Or find a reputable source and ask the question. I myself am that source. a source, there's no dumb question. I answer 150 DMs a day about,
Wow.
is this normal? No, it's not.
Wow.
Block them immediately, please.
Hmm.
So please be safe. Please be safe.
Now, finally, where can listeners go if they want to explore your work in a grounded, curious way?
So one of the best places to, explore my work is going to be through my Instagram, Malisandre's Place. You're going to be able to, in my bio, my link tree is there, and that has everything that I do all in one.
I'll make sure to include all your connections, and thank you again for accepting my invite to my show. Thank you for your insight, your own version of vulnerability, and just giving us a picture of a strong, powerful woman who leads in their own way. You've been amazing, and I really appreciate it. This has been a very grounded conversation, and if you want to come back and explore, further, then I'm all up for it.
I'd love to come back. It was a great conversation. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
This was a powerful episode. If you've ever been taught that your desires were too much, too taboo, or too loud, Malisandre's story offers a different frame. We heard how she moved from fear and suppression to understanding power as something negotiated, how her work with high-powered clients and couples centered trust and acceptance, and why being seen without judgment can be one of the most healing experiences of all. Continue to heal, continue to love yourself and your scars. Those scars are there for a reason. Adelante, siempre por tu mente. Forward, always for your mind. This is the FYI I Am Damaged podcast. Stay tuned for that wonderful upbeat children's song I created. Play it for your little ones, and let the silly dancing and singing begin.
In a bright green jungle where the tall trees sway, lived a little elephant who felt big fins. Every day Logan loved to splash and play by the riverside, with sometimes wobbly legs made him wanna run and hide. Tummy doing flips like a stormy shaking drum. A tiny voice inside him whispered, what if I can't have fun? Then Brandon the wise monkey smiled from the tree, said, little friend, take a breath, come and sit with me. Feel your feet on the ground, feel your hand on your heart. We're bleeding together, that's how courage starts. I am strong, I am safe, I can do this. Breathing in slow, let it out with a wish. When my mind feels wiggly like a monkey in the trees, I calm my heart down with my breath and my knees. I am strong, I am safe, I can do this. Step by step forward through the scared and the what if. Even when my tummy feels funny and tight, I can still be brave, I can still shine bright. Next day in the jungle they played a game of tag. Logan felt the nervous pull, his body started to drag, but he remembered Brandon and the tools he had inside. Took a deep gentle breath instead of running off to hide. Breathe in the sunshine, breathe out all the fear. Stomped his big elephant feet and felt his courage appear. With the wiggle of his trunk and a laugh so free, whispered to himself, there's a lion heart in me. His friends saw him smiling as he joined in the game. They asked, Logan, what's your secret? You don't look the same. He said, when my thoughts get loud, I don't have to stay small. I breathe and move my body and I stand up tall. I am strong, I am safe, I can do this. Breathe it in so let it out with a wish. When my mind be wiggly like a monkey in the trees, I calm my heart down with my breath and my knees. I am strong, I am safe, I can do this. Step by step forward through the scared and the what if. Even when my tummy feels funny and tight, I can still be brave, standing side. So breathe in slowly, feel your feet on the floor. Let your shoulders soften, you don't need to. Whisper to yourself when the worries rush through. I am strong, I am safe, and I know what to do. I am strong, I am safe, I can do this. Breathe it in slow, lay it out with a wish when my mind feels wiggly like a monkey in the trees. Like I'm locked down with my breath and my knees. I am strong, I assist, I can do this step by step forward through the skin and know what it is. Logan showed the jungle and I show the world. There's a strong-minded hero in every boy and girl in the bright green jungle. When the stars shine above, brave little hearts fall asleep, feeling safe and loved.